Hi everyone and happy Monday. We have this gingerbread house picture, well, part of the gingerbread house picture from Johanna's Christmas to do for this week's planner. And you could either follow along in the planner. If you don't have the planner, you might have Johanna's Christmas to follow along in. Otherwise, just colour along and listen, I guess, or see if there's anything that you can take from it for other pages. Now, I think these are gingerbread houses, so I tend to colour them in a gingerbread-ish colour. But to be quite honest, I don't really know what colour gingerbread is. So I'm just going to make a start with a brown and see what happens. So we have Polychromos here. This is my brown ochre. Sorry, I'll try and hold it so you can see it. I think should come in a bit closer, a little bit. We want all the houses in shot though, and I'm going to use a layer of this on every part of the house that I'm going to do as gingerbread. So just going to get started. Now, as you can hear, I'm not fully recovered. I'm still actually testing positive for COVID today. I'm feeling a bit better. I get a little bit better each day, thankfully, which is good. I've got weird leg cramps, which is quite strange. It's a little bit better today than yesterday. When I go up and down the stairs, I feel quite tired. But I'm sure it'll get better. But I still have this urge to go outside, and I think it's because I know I can't. But thankfully, husband is better. He's in work today. It's actually his last day before he finishes for Christmas. But he went in just to tie up loose ends, really, put a mask on just in case, and that sort of thing. And my son, who's been quite poorly, he keeps testing negative, which is very strange, but he seems a bit better. Yesterday he had a great morning. He's really well, full of cheek, which I like, and joking, little quips, little witty comments, very funny, and he got a lot of work done on one of his essays as well. He was great. And then in the afternoon he went all dizzy and took to his bed for a bit, which was a shame. But today he's not quite so with it again. He's a bit lightheaded, he said, so feels a bit funny, but he's eating properly now. It's just good. He's struggling with drinking. He'll drink water, so that's great, but he can't stomach coffee. I think because he finds if he's got a sore throat, coffee doesn't really work well. And what I'm finding is my sense of taste has changed a little bit. I think because I'm sort of blocked up, as you can hear, and I find that it's meant that my sense of taste isn't very good, but I can really taste bitter. So when I have my coffee, all I can taste is bitterness. And so I've not been eating any chocolate because it just tastes nasty, and things like that. And I've not been eating a lot anyway. I've been eating 3 meals, but just a bit less. I've been eating a little bit more each day. It's just been hard to not want to eat, but you know, it's okay. We're all looking after ourselves, and energy's coming back slowly. And as my energy comes back, my appetite comes back, so just little bits. So that's good. And I'm hoping, well, I want to be well very soon, because I've got a party coming up that I'd love to go to. I'll be really sad if I can't go, but you know, we'll just have to wait and see. Now, thinking about our gingerbread, I did have the idea of using Jennifer Zimmerman's amazing tutorial for gingerbread, but then I remembered that I'd done it before for you. Last year I did a matchstick mouse picture with a gingerbread man in, and I followed her tutorial for that one from her amazing Secret Colouring 2 book. It's got loads of Christmas type candies, really, colouring in it. So it's got a present and a gift bow showing you how to do sort of metallic with it. It was spectacular. And it's got candied corn for, like, you know, Halloween. For those in the US, we don't have it here. I'd had to look it up. I had no idea what it was. And what else was there? There was gummy bear type thing, and a lollipop two different types of lollipop. I'm going back to just tidy this up a little bit in certain places, and I'm thinking, I might do them all in slightly different, not all of them, but use a few slightly different shades of brown for the different houses so that they don't all look identical, because I'm thinking, well, this one's really close to this one, if they're the same colour maybe it won't look so good. So I think I'm going to miss this a few out and go and do this one down here. I might change my mind later and still end up doing them the same, but we'll just get this sort of basic bit done. This is the sort of foundations, I suppose, really, for the picture. And then it becomes a lot more exciting when we start to do the windows and the icing and the sweets, or candies, whatever you call them sweets. Now, is that part of that? No, I'm going to do this as a separate building. And all those sorts of things become fun. And the sky. Now, don't worry about the sky. I'm going to do the sky in an easy pastel, but leave it till later, or else I'll end up smudging it everywhere, making a big mess. Because even though it's at the top, if I'm colouring this bit, I'll end up with my hand in it, and so I'm going to leave that till later. We can sort of think about what colour the sky should be as well. Now, I've done this picture a couple of times in the main book, because I finished 2 copies of Johanna's Christmas, and one of them I did a sort of galaxy type sky, but light colours. So it was like this sky blue from the Polys, and the light magenta, and I think the violet, and I sort of did little patches of each, then try to smudge them all together with a blender, and put some white dots on them to make it look like it was snowing. And yeah, it was a real labour of love, because this is a big double page spread in the book. If you've got it, you'll know. But I was really pleased with the result. I'm not sure what I did with the other one, to be honest, but for this one I'm going to use a pastel, make it a little bit easier. I think I know what I might do, but I will wait and see, because once I've done the pencil work I might slightly change my mind on how I want it all to look, depending on how it all goes. Now, I'm only doing one sort of layer really of colour here. You could do a bit more, a couple more layers, but I think my plan is to get this sort of base of colour down, and then I can fiddle with it after if I feel like it needs to be darker in certain areas, or lighter if it's a bit messy or whatever, or if I feel like it needs an even, an extra layer or something like that. So I'm getting into the Christmas spirit now. I'm feeling a bit better. I've got very behind in everything, but I wrapped a bunch of presents last night, which was such fun. It's a bit I just realised what I did. I wrapped loads of presents last night. My husband dropped them off at my mum's house this morning, and I've got COVID, but I don't think it can survive in contact with things for very long. So I'm sure it's all fine, because he had to take them, because we're supposed to be going up to my sister's for a get-together day at the weekend, and it's very unlikely that we'll be able to go. So he took them to my mum, and she can take them up to them and do it that way instead, which is disappointing, to say the least. But I'm trying not to dwell on it, because I don't want to get upset. It's something we always do. We always get together, and there really aren't any other days that we can do it. So we will see each other in the new year, though, when she brings her daughter back for uni. She goes to uni in the town where my mum lives, which is about half an hour from here, if that. So drive. So we can go up there and see them, which will be nice. Have a little get together. But anyway, that's that. So he dropped the presents in, and had a quick chat with my mum. I'm hoping that I might be able to see her sometime. I've got a little plan in my mind, but we'll see what happens. as the days go through and how I feel. I don't actually feel like going out and socialising much yet. And I know I've got several people who want to see me. So that's going to be interesting. We shall see what happens. This is the raw umber, and I'm going to use that for some of them as well. I'm struggling to see whether this, I think, is this a separate building? I think it is, but this bit, is it part of this one? Is it part of this, you know, I'm not sure. I think I'm just going to do this one. I'm not worried about those over there. I think it's better not to worry. Just don't worry about anything. I was, my sister was like, have you seen this on the news? I was like, oh, I don't look at the news. But I had a quick look. It was something quite interesting actually she pointed out to me. It was about companies trying to make new sweeteners. Because there are disadvantages, all the sweeteners that we have at the moment, there are different disadvantages of them. One, like the World Health Organization says that aspartame is a carcinogen, and that then there's some that leave a bitter taste in the mouth. There's some that have a laxative effect and things like that. It's an interesting thing, isn't it? Because really, we could manage without them at all. What's that? Is that a bit of that? It is, isn't it? We could manage without sugar or sweeteners. If I do, I don't have sugar or sweetener in, you know, things. Obviously, I buy some good foods which have them in, like tomato ketchup. But I try to cook mainly from scratch, and I don't have the, you know, I've just got used to not having them. So it's it was very interesting. What I think is interesting is that it's assumed that we need a replacement. When could we just not start to cut down a little bit? You know, would it be healthier to just have a little bit less sugar in your soda, or that sort of thing, you know? And but of course the sugar industry wants us to get a sweeter and sweeter tooth, so they are quite happy to produce sweeteners as well as sugar to keep us doing that. So it's you know, it doesn't look significantly different to this one, which I think is fine because they're all gingerbread, so they shouldn't look really different. I think these are the right sorts of colours. I'm thinking about, I've only made gingerbread a few times. I used to buy gingerbread biscuits. They're called ginger nuts. I don't know if anyone in the UK probably knows them. I think the Australians might too. They have a lot of similarities between English and Australian foods, more so than US. I think it's because the Australian immigrants are closer generations mainly than Americans, so I think they still remember some of the old English things that are still about and sort of wanted them over there. That's my theory, because I might be very wrong, but I just know that my actually two of my dad's two sisters, one went to America, one went to Australia, so I guess they both went to one of each country. But there seem to be a lot more ex-Brits in Australia. What was quite fascinating, I think it's right, that my aunt moved to Australia, a particular part, went to she lives in a sort of village for retired, a retirement village, and she met someone there who she went to school with in England. It's like, what are the odds? I think that's right. Or she's met her since she's been out there anyway. So that's quite funny that, you know, they happen to go to primary school together and then they meet up all those years later living in the same foreign country. But it is interesting. But she went out when I think they were offering really cheap tickets to Brits to fly out. Anyway, it's not really helping us talk about gingerbread, is it? So yeah, I've only made them a few times. I don't do baking anymore. I've got some flour, I really need to use it. I might do a bit. I like making carrot cake, my son hates it, but because I don't use much in the way of sweetener. Carrot cake is good because carrot sweetens it, and put in spices, and he doesn't, I think it might be the spices he doesn't, no, I think he just says carrot shouldn't be in cake. I think that's what it is, something like that anyway. But I can't remember what else I put in it, so I might have to have a think. I think mashed bananas and grated carrot and lots of spice. Yes, that's what I did. I made it like a muffin batter, but I used, because I'm lactose intolerant, I had to use like oat milk. That didn't go down very well either. And also I used oil because I don't use spreads, butter. I can't eat butter. And I just don't like the thought of the sort of artificial spreads, so I don't use them. I don't need to. So it makes baking interesting, especially as I can't eat coconut oil either. Excuse me. Anyway, so I won't be making gingerbread men, that's for sure. But we do have the gingerbread houses a little bit in the UK, as you can see from Johanna's picture. But it's not a big old thing. I think it's more in other parts of Europe. I'm not sure why they really do it, but I've seen some really pretty ones. You can buy the kits nowadays and you sort of ice them and all that sort of thing. It's not something we've ever done. I think maybe once I bought one, it was really cheap and it is all broken, and I just bought it for the kids to eat. We didn't use the piping bits, and because it was a kit with like icing and stuff in it, we didn't do any of that. Just ate the biscuit. I don't think that's really in the spirit of things, really. Oh well. When I was young, Christmas, we would always have those Danish, they're called Danish butter biscuits. They were good. Used to always have them. And my mum used to work with this lovely lady, and we would go and visit her every Christmas, and she would always give us a present as we left, and it was a tin of Cadbury's chocolate biscuits. They were good. I enjoyed those. Used to be allowed one each a day, ration them out because they were so delicious, and you could choose one. So every day you could choose one, and then I don't know how we decided who went first. Maybe we did it in age order, I don't know. But yeah, and then you'd be like, oh, which one should I have tomorrow? Hope no one eats my favourite, all that sort of thing. It was good. I like those. And we always used to have Quality Street as well, which are like filled chocolates. So you'd have like a strawberry cream, a toffee, caramel cream, that sort of thing. Coffee and coconut and praline and all those. We'd always have those in as well, but only at Christmas. And what else would we get in apart from the delicious cakes? My mum would make a Christmas cake. Christmas cake being just a rich fruit cake with, it's got a little floor there. I don't know if it's underneath. Oh. It might be a bit of the glitter. Don't know what that is. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We would excuse me. Yes, so she would make a rich fruit cake, and she would use, rather than just her normal fruit cake, she would, I think you'd use a demerara sugar and maybe some black treacle, and then lots of extra fruit. So you'd have currants, raisins and sultanas. She would normally just use sultanas in her fruit cake. I'm just going to sharpen my pencil. And then there would be candied peel and glacé cherries in it as well. Now traditionally you make your fruitcake quite early, and then you feed it by putting alcohol on it every week or so leading up to Christmas to keep it moist. She didn't used to make it very early, so that she didn't need to do that because we didn't do the alcohol thing. And so she would just put marzipan and royal icing on the top. I remember she used to buy the royal icing ready-made, freshly ready-made from her brother. Her brother worked in a bakery, So he would mass make a load of it, and he would bring it home to her, well, not home, but back from work for her, and the marzipan. So sometimes she would buy marzipan, but often it would be his, I think, that they would make in the bakery, and put that on the top of the cake. I remember when there was royal icing left and you got to lick the bowl, oh my, it was sweet. I don't think I've ever tasted anything so sweet. But on its own, you can imagine, and still water wet, you know, still runny. I think it's made with egg white, isn't it, royal icing? It's probably why she didn't make it, because it would have been a bit of a, what do you do with all the egg yolks? Yum, I'd have eaten them. Not just raw, fried up omelettes, yum. Anyway, but so she'd do that, and on the very top of the cake, she would get her palette knife and spread it smooth, and then she would go like that, and it would make it stand up in little splodges to look like, and she would make it look like icicles, and then she would get all the decorations out and we would be allowed to help her. Sometimes she would usually make 3 cakes, and she would sometimes let us decorate one of them. She would usually give one away, and we weren't allowed to decorate that one, to her father and sister. But we would have little, I remember there were trees, and they had a metal a spike, which is what you stuck in, and had all these little plastic things coming out. You stick the metal pipe thing into them, and she had little plastic robins, and there was a little choir of 3 people standing under a street lamp, and a snowman. Oh, some children skating. There were a couple of ones with children skating, and Merry Christmas, of course. And so she would arrange these on the cake, or we would if we were allowed to, and that would be the Christmas cake. And she would make a Yule log. I was watching a cookery program last night, and they were making one, but they were making it from scratch. She didn't do that. She would buy the cake, the Swiss roll, and then just ice it. So that was nice. Yeah, so those were all our lovely treats. She used to do good, nice Easter biscuits as well, but she can't remember the recipe. So why? It was so good. I think basically it was a fruited biscuit, so it had sultanas in, and it had a citrus to it. So I don't know whether she used a lemon oil or I don't know. But there was a sort of citrusy flavour, which was just delicious. Anyway, yum. Food. I'm going to make you all hungry. We are colouring a picture with biscuits though. Now, where are we going here? But that was always part, and she would make mince pies. Her pastry was so good. I don't think she's made pastry for quite a while. She used to make them for my gran. Her mother-in-law loved her pastry, so she would used to make sure she had some so that she could have some. She always said how good it was. But I'm rubbish at pastry. I haven't inherited the pastry gene, that's for sure. I think I overhandle it, or my hands are too hot, or though my hands aren't usually that hot, I don't know, it just all goes rubbery and disgusting. Ugh. I must overwork it, I guess. But I think perhaps I'm not well practiced enough at rolling and cutting nicely, so maybe I sort of have to keep reworking it because I've made a mess of it, and then it's horrible. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It's not something that I do anymore anyway, so it doesn't matter. So that was, so mince pies, for those that aren't too sure, the filling is a fruity filling, dried fruits, and it's very sticky and it's very sweet. She's got apple, I think, as well, fresh. When I used to make my own, I used to put fresh cooked apple with lots of dried fruits, like vine fruits, and peel, proper peel, like just zest of a orange and orange juice and things like that in it. But I didn't really follow a recipe, I just made it up. I don't really know. And you put spice in there. like cinnamon usually. Cinnamon is Christmas, isn't it? That's what I always think. Cinnamon smells like Christmas. So yum. And I was talking to Mary, my friend in America, and she asked me if we had root beer, and I said no, we don't, but we have ginger beer. And it reminded me, and she said something about ginger ale, which reminded me of when we were young at Christmas. We always used to get in ginger ale and bitter lemon. I don't know why. It's what my parents always used to buy in. So we used to have a little drink of that on Christmas Eve. Or sometimes Bailey's when we got a bit older. And even though we didn't really drink, just Christmas. So that was fun. Now I finished that, and it's not looking particularly neat and tidy, but I'm not worried about it. I'm going to leave it for now and move on to something else, because that's taken 25 minutes or so just to colour in the front of the houses. We don't want to dilly-dally any longer. If you don't like yours, you want them to be a bit more intensely coloured, you want them a bit neater, whatever it is, you want to run a blender over them or anything, then that's fine. But I'm not going to worry about that for this. But I'm going to show you how to do the window frames, and then we'll probably leave the rest, because we're getting on a bit time-wise, aren't we? So we're going to use the bistre, okay, and we're going to draw in every window frame with the bistre. We don't want it to be too light or too dark, so just something in between. Now these window frames, I hope, will look a bit like they're made of chocolate. Now I don't think that's how window frames are done in gingerbread houses, but this is how I like to draw them because it's fun and I like chocolate, which I haven't been eating at the moment, but I will. It'll be there waiting for me when I'm better. So try and colour it fairly evenly. I said that to myself, I wasn't doing that then, for the purposes of this. It's interesting how they've got these sort of curtainy bits, when I wouldn't expect that in a sweetie house, gingerbread house, but I guess it's just a sweet stuck there, so we'll do them sort of sweetie colours. Now we have to think about what colour we want the candies and the sweets. Do we want to go multicoloured, or do we want to go a sort of a colour scheme, a limited colour? You could do pastels, not soft pastels, I mean pastel colours, or brights, or I think I know what I'm going to do. But I may change my mind before I come to record the next bit, so who knows. Now I feel like these could be slabs of chocolate too, which is why I'm doing them this colour. I'm sort of doing all the chocolate. I'm going to sharpen a bit though. But I think, has everyone got their tree up by now? Time's ticking on, isn't it, towards Christmas? I feel like I've got 101 things to do and no time, and I've already packed up some presents and sent them off, and they didn't have in as much as I'd hoped because I didn't have the time to buy it, but it is what it is. Hopefully they'll be happy with what they've got anyway. And yeah, it's tricky. But I remember that I haven't sent a card to someone too, which I need to put in the post. We also had a nice handful of cards this morning, which I don't think we've had post since Monday, maybe? Can't think. I know it's been ages since we had post. We had loads of cards, which was really lovely. And but one for a house in a different street with a very similar street name to us. So it's got the same beginning bit and different end bit. Postcode's different, but it came to us. So I've got to pop that up, but I can't go out at the moment, so I have to wait a few days. But I think it'll be quicker than putting it back in the post, because we're having post so infrequently. If I test negative tomorrow, I might pop it up, because I don't know if I've got the energy to walk up the hill. I'll see. do me good to get out and get some fresh air, won't it? So we'll see. But it's only 5 minutes walk. Be good for me to get out, and I'll be able to get their card. Because I got a card from my sister. She said she posted it this time last week. It took a week to get here. And one of them, she sent one to each of my boys, and one of my boys' ones didn't arrive yet. So slow. I was saying, I remember last year we were in this country, we were all like not getting cards because there was a strike. The postmen were striking, or was it the sorting office? I can't remember. No, there's a strike. This year there's no strike, and yet we're still not getting any post very much. In fact, my mum was telling me she was watching the news, and they were saying that in a town called Swindon, they're actually collecting their own post from the sorting offices. Like someone from a street will go down and collect their street's post and hand deliver it themselves because it's just taking so long, they're just not getting any post. It's getting a bit, I think they're just short-staffed. But everyone seems to be. It's not good. You often get shortage of train drivers. I guess it's jobs that people don't want to do. And I wouldn't want to be a postie or a train driver, particularly. I don't like driving. So I suppose it'd be a bit easier with the train. You've got a track to follow and nothing's going to be coming the other way, you hope. But posties, I think it's all that, it's much harder than it used to be. I think it used to be that most people get letters every day, so you would have a fairly short round where you would just walk up every drive. Nowadays they might only have a few things for a few people in the whole street, and they tend to have to take the van. It's not worth driving because walking, because there's so much distance between each person. Now this isn't how I'm going to finish these windows. It's going to be a little bit more to it. But we're just going to do, I'm thinking this is a window. I'm going to make that colour. So do the door frame. Yeah, we did that door frame. Do this one. But it's very kind of people to send out cards. I do like getting them. And I do like sending them too. Put a little message in. You know, and it's heartfelt, even if it just says Merry Christmas. That's what I mean. I want people to have a lovely time. I know it's a hard time of year for some people, but I hope that people can have fun. I'm just looking and looking. Oh, this one. I knew I'd missed something. They're doing a lovely charity drive this week, which I haven't been able to give to because I haven't been able to get out in our town for... we have some what they call community hubs where people can go and get a meal and stay warm. And they are run by volunteers. This is walnut brown, and they have food in there which is designed for people who haven't got a lot of money. What I'm going to do with my walnut brown is I'm going to go around the very edge of the window like this to try and give it a slightly three-dimensional look. So yes, so you can go and get food from there, things that have been donated, and you can pay what you feel. So you may not be able to afford to pay anything, or you might just pay a little bit, you know. And they have cafes, and you can go and socialise if you're lonely, things like that. It's really nice. And they're having a little charity drive to buy for brand new toys, so that parents who can't afford to give their children anything can get a little something for their child. And coats, very lightly worn or brand new coats, gloves, hats, scarves, that sort of thing, so people can stay warm, because if people can't put their heating on, they need to wrap up warm inside, but they do outside as well. And so, and they're also, this is our council that are doing this. I'm going to do this one. And they're also doing, what else? Oh, sleeping bags. I don't know if the sleeping bags are for rough sleepers, you know, or whether they're for people who need warmer bedding, you know, I'm not sure. But either way, it's rather nice. So last year they only did coats, so they've sort of extended it, which is good. I did donate one toy, so it was something, it wasn't massive, but I was in the toy shop buying something and I just bought a little extra something and asked them. The toy shop has a donation bucket, which makes sense for the toy shop, you know, but they're a lovely shop, little independent. They're not from the area, but they've got just 2 other shops across the country, and a lovely family business, and they have a little bucket in the shop to try and help. So I bought a little Barbie doll. I thought, I bet there's some girls that really want a Barbie, and I always wanted a Barbie, but I got other things, so it didn't matter. But you know, I thought if they might like a little Barbie doll, so I bought that and asked him to donate it. So that was nice. Gave me a warm fuzzy feeling. You know, I think sometimes if we do these things, it does us more good than actually who we're helping, you know. That's a bit messy. I'm just going to use my bistre to tidy it up. It's still a bit messy. Let's go down here. Can you see down here? I'm not going to do anything with these. I think I'm going to leave them flat. I think it's the window frames that I'd like to look a bit more rounded. So I'm just really, you know, I think it's really lovely that our town is doing this. It's a shame it has to be done, but I think it's the same everywhere really these days. I was talking to a friend a while ago, and she was saying, you know, the community's going to have to stand up and support each other, because there just isn't the help available so much anymore from the government. And she's right. It's an interesting situation, you know. If we want the government to do it, taxes have to go up, and a lot of people are opposed to that. It's a tricky political situation which we're never going to solve, but because raising taxes doesn't win votes. And yet there are quite a lot of people out there who would be prepared to pay a little bit more tax if they felt that it was going to the right place, you know, if they felt. But as we're not paying enough tax, perhaps, that we think we should, some people don't agree, then maybe by donating a little something somewhere, we're doing it in a different way, you know. But and I think some people can afford to help and some can't, and that's absolutely fair. That, you know. But I do find that sometimes I notice that it's those that have the least that try and give the most, and I think it's because they know what it's like, but I unfortunately don't know what it's like. And I also heard this interesting thing saying that the rich tend to hold on to their money because they're frightened of being poor, so they don't spend their money and then they can remain rich. Oh, I found an even more interesting story the other day about the person that Scrooge was based on, and apparently he was a banker who lived in a city, and he had lots of money but he never spent it, and he used to live in he didn't wear very smart clothes. He was all sort of scruffy, things like that, because he wouldn't spend the money he had. But he only when he died did people realise quite how much he had, I think. something like that anyway. And Charles Dickens had come to hear of this man. He hadn't met him, but he'd stayed in the town where he was from and had heard locals talking of him. And apparently he may have used him as his Scrooge character, which is interesting. And you don't know for certain, but it's a good little story. Get all these nice little stories. What I like about the news at this time of year is you start getting a little bit happier stories. You know, sometimes people don't always want the doom and gloom. You know, I tend to try not to look at it too much. And when I do, I tend to avoid the really horrid stories. If I read a headline that looks horrid, I don't read the story. I think, well, I know that's happened. I don't need to know the gory details or dwell on it. Nothing I can do to help. So I'm going to leave it, you know. There's a happy story. A few. And I like also looking at the sport and entertainment news, things like that. It's all light-hearted. Although, if you follow a team and they don't win, maybe that's not a happy story. But I follow the tennis. It's not, there's no none at the minute. It's the wrong time of year. They have a bit of an off-season. They do the finals. Masters or finals or something at the end of the year. And then they have a bit of a break over Christmas where they go and train. And then they get back to it because the big Australian Open tournament is in January, I think. They can't indulge on too much Christmas pudding. I did watch a TV show. I was catching up on it yesterday, and it was Mary Berry, who's like a home cook. Well, she's trained, isn't she? She's a trained cook, or maybe chef, I suppose. And she does sort of family recipes and things, and she was doing a recipe with Andy Murray, who's a big tennis player. And he was talking about how what had he done? Oh, he'd eaten a bit of shortbread, and he said, "Don't tell my coach. I'm supposed to eat it." I think it was shortbread. Was it mince pie? I can't remember. Anyway, it's quite funny. Not supposed to eat it. It's not on his diet. But she taught him how to make a kedgeree, which looked delicious. I love kedgeree. I can't eat the egg, but it doesn't. I mean, it is a fairly big, nice part of the dish. And interestingly, there was no. I always thought kedgeree was made with curry powder, but it was just made with cumin, coriander, and turmeric, which I can eat. I can't eat chilli, so I can't eat a curry powder. But she made it look so easy. And there's onion in it, which I would have to leave out, but I think I could still make it really nice. But the big problem is the smoked haddock. My one son hates the smell, and it does smell the house out for like a week. So that could be a bit of a problem. I'm really doing a bad job with these windows. But it's right in the corner here. And I'm just going to do that, and then I'm going to finish. So I don't know how 3D the windows look to you, but I feel that if you get a contrast of light and dark, it can make it, I think this one down here looks the best. It can make them look slightly three-dimensional. I missed a bit here, I think. But if you take your time, it can look a lot better. Have I even done this one? I think I have. You spend a bit more time just making sure you can see. You need quite a sharp pencil all the time, really, as well. But I'm going to make that do because I've been going on for quite a long time. Now that's the base, so tomorrow we can come in and do all the little details and have some fun with colour. If you want to go over yours a bit more or whatever, that's fine. I might do that with mine as well. I might just go over a few bits and make it look a bit neater. But nothing different to what I've shown you already, just a few more layers of the same. Okay, but thank you very much for watching. Let's just pull that into shot so you can see it all. There we go. see my little diddy pile of pencils. Not many yet today, but tomorrow we've got the fun stuff, so come back for that. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Have a super day and happy colouring.